Hello, everyone. Welcome to our admitted engineering students co-op Ask Me Anything chat. Thank you for joining us. We have, as I said, a lot of lovely people on the call here. So just a couple housekeeping things to go through, and then we will dive right in. So first, I just want to give our territorial acknowledgement. So the University of Waterloo acknowledges that much of our work takes place on the traditional territory of the neutral Anishinaabe and Haunishone's people. Our main campus is situated on the Haldeman Tract, which is the land granted to the Six Nations that includes 6 miles on each side of the Grand River. Our active work towards reconciliation takes place across our campuses through research, learning, teaching, and community building, and is coordinated within the Office of Indigenous Relations. So just before I pass it off to Kira, I just want to let everybody know, as the presentation kind of goes on, you will hear from Kira, Everything Co-op. At the end, once she is finished, I will have my lovely ambassadors kind of turn their cameras on, and we're hoping to do a live Q&A with you guys to answer any of those questions you have. But during the presentation, I did want to mention that you are able to post a question in the Q&A, and we will do our best to give you that answer throughout the presentation. If not, we will answer it at the end. So just a reminder, if you do have any questions throughout the presentation, please pop that into the Q&A function there, and we'll be more than happy to answer that for you. But without further ado, I will pass it off to Kira.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kelsey. And good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Kira Young. I use the pronouns she and her. I am a career advisor with the Center for Career Development here at the University of Waterloo, on just one of the teams that support undergrad students on their co-op journey at Waterloo. So I'll be talking more about how our team can support you later on in the presentation. So it'll be about 30 minutes, like Kelsey said, followed by that question and answer period. So I appreciate if you keep your microphones on mute during the duration of the presentation, and we will get started. So what will tonight's presentation cover? The overarching topics we'll be discussing tonight are what makes Waterloo's co-op program unique and sets it apart, how exactly our co-op program works, and specifically what that can look like for engineering students. And finally, what resources are available to you to support you in your co-op journey at Waterloo. All right, so first of all, what is co-op? Co-op stands for Cooperative Education, which is an educational model that combines academic studies with relevant paid work experience. So co-op is a partnership between the University of Waterloo and employers who are looking to hire our incredibly talented students while they're still in school. So co-op students alternate between study terms and work terms, typically 4 months of school followed by 4 months of work. And this creates this incredible cycle of learning. That classroom learning makes workplace contributions stronger, while work experience enhances learning in the classroom. So of course, what's also really incredible is that co-op students graduate with up to 2 years of work experience, and are better prepared to move into the workplace post-graduation. So not only do they have, a solid work experience at the time of graduation, but they're also gaining, interview practice, the support to be able to articulate, your skills, and a stronger understanding of how to apply your skill set and experience to future work opportunities. So what sets Waterloo Co-op apart? We are a global leader. We're the largest co-op program in North America with more than 26,000 students. We've been doing this for more than 65 years. In fact, co-op was the first innovation that Waterloo was founded on. And in that time, we've really established thousands of industry connections, and have a team of people located across Canada to ensure that the co-op process runs smoothly. So co-op is not just for domestic experiences. In 2024, we had more than 8,000 employers in 70 countries across the globe. So that included the US, China, India, Germany, and Japan. And our co-op team verifies those international job postings and leads. Um, and through thorough conversations with employers to not only ensure the quality of roles are met, but also to educate employers about Waterloo Co-op and build more relationships with employers around the world. So Waterloo students work abroad in places, like I said, all over the world and return with really valuable work and life experiences, whether that's, learning a new language or skill, to exploring, intercultural effectiveness as well. So why choose co-op at Waterloo? You have that opportunity, like I said earlier, to gain up to 2 years of work experience by the time you graduate. You can test drive your career. So through co-op, you can learn about what you like and what you don't like, and what type of working environment might be the best fit for you. You'll graduate with a loaded resume, network, and references. You get to practice your application, interview, and work search skills, enhance your classroom learning, and earn money to support the cost of your education. And really, all of these will help you prepare for the future of work and really hit the ground running once you graduate. So just a little bit about the engineering co-op stream. So based on your engineering program, you could be in stream 4 or stream 8. And your stream determines when you would begin that first co-op term. So engineering requires mandatory co-op terms, but that specific sequence will really depend on your program. So one of the things that makes Waterloo unique is that the university operates 12 months a year. So there are constantly students in class on co-op terms or other experiential learning opportunities. So what does this look like? As you can see in this slide here, again, when you're on a work term depends on your sequence or stream, again, as it's sometimes referred to as. So sequences can vary based on the program. Some of you may have your first work term scheduled for the winter, others the spring term. So once you do start a work term, you'll alternate between work terms and study terms throughout your undergrad degree. There are some sequences that have back-to-back work terms built in where a student can stay with a single employer for 8 months or decide to work with 2 different employers. So to graduate with the co-op designation, you'll complete 5 to 6 work terms. You'll receive work term evaluations from your employer and complete reflection reports and online skills courses as well. So what does the process of getting a job look like? There are 2 main ways to find a co-op job. The most common way is through Waterloo Works. The other way is by arranging your own job, where you can kind of tap into your network to find your own job that can count towards co-op credit. So about 4 months before you're scheduled to work, you'll be given access to our employment administration system, known as Waterloo Works, where co-op jobs are posted. So Waterloo Works, it's a private system. It's not open to the public. So it's employers posting jobs for you Waterloo students specifically. And one thing that is just important to remember is that co-op is a competitive employment process where you're able to apply for any job posted on Waterloo Works co-op job board. But jobs are not guaranteed. So we do provide a lot of support along the way, not only from a dedicated co-op advisor, who's your main point of contact for all of your co-op questions, but also through the Center for Career Development when it comes to resume reviews, interview preparation, and other work search support. So you might be wondering, what types of jobs students get in their co-op. So there are jobs constantly being posted throughout the recruitment term, but where do engineering students typically work? As you can see, our students work, in a wide range of countries and many different industries. So I know sometimes it can be overwhelming to know, what types of jobs you want to look for, what keywords to use in your searches. So that's a really good opportunity to connect with a career advisor like myself, who's able to support you in your work search, and even a strategy that feels good to you, as well as how to tailor your applications to make you a more competitive candidate. Of course, as well, there's no obligation to only apply for roles related directly to your field of study. So especially in your first co-op, it's really encouraged to explore positions outside of your program that can really build those transferable skills you can bring forward with you to future opportunities and later co-op roles. So this is just a snapshot of some of the roles that students might find themselves applying for in a few different engineering programs. It's certainly not an extensive list. And again, definitely encourage you to apply for jobs that may fall outside of your faculty or area of study and gain, again, those transferable skills that can be used in later work terms. So if you are interested in learning more about some of the potential employers, we have a really great student blog. This is written by students for students. So you can filter the blog also based on faculty or industry or even international opportunities. So just another great place to learn more about students' experience in co-op and some of the places that they've worked. Okay, so co-op earnings and fees. In terms of what you can earn during your co-op terms, on average, co-op students earn 9,600 to 22,800 per work term in Canada, which is above minimum wage. So you might not get, rich by doing co-op, but you'll gain the skills you need to get that ideal job down the road. So co-op helps manage university's expenses. It doesn't necessarily pay for all of them. And really that earnings amount will vary by your work term level. So usually in your fifth or sixth co-op, you'll likely be making more than, say, your first co-op. It will also vary by program, employer, and location as well. And then just a quick note about co-op fees. Co-op students pay fees to support the running of the co-op program and those supports available. So the number of times you pay the co-op fee varies by program. And the co-op fee is associated with being enrolled in the co-op program, similar to tuition. It's not a job placement fee per work term. It instead, represents the cost of running the co-op program, and it's spread out over a specific number of academic terms. Okay, so what could you be doing now to prepare for co-op? So I won't read through everything that's on this slide, but I will just highlight a few things that you can be doing now. So one of the main things you can do is really start working on your resume by gaining as much experience as you can. That could be through a part-time job or a volunteer position or something else that will make you, stand out to an employer. Once you come to Waterloo, you'll have access to, a massive suite of Waterloo resources, including the Center for Career Development, other professional development courses, and of course your co-op advisor as well. But it's also never too early to start looking for that potential first work term opportunity. A great way to do this is just by start engaging with your personal network for that possible first work term job. And finally, again, I encourage you to be flexible in the types of jobs you're applying to, and willing to, accept an offer for, especially for that first work term. Your first work term is really that excellent chance for you to get your foot in the door, and start to obtain the skills required, for more senior level co-op positions. And really having that flexibility can lead you to find something you love but have maybe never considered before. So what if I can't find a job? I know this is a very common concern for students. It's a question, that always comes up when we talk co-op with incoming students or those who, are going through their first recruitment term. And I know it is a big point of anxiety for many students. But we do have a variety of supports and resources. So I would say access these resources early and often. There's so many people who work on campus that are here to support you. You often have more time as well than you think to find a job. You can actually keep searching into your scheduled work term up until 12 weeks before the end of the term. Again, you can reach out to those personal connections to try and arrange your own job for co-op credit. Our We Accelerate or Waterloo Experience program is offered as well to first work term students, I should say, to gain valuable transferable skills and earn a flexible work term credit. So we'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. And if you still can't find a job, that's okay. Most programs have what we call like a buffer term built into their study work sequence, that allows a student to miss a work term if necessary. So engineering, that's definitely the case. And then really at the end of the day, the most important thing is, keep learning regardless of whether you find a job that can be approved for co-op credit. Things like taking a course to build skills or getting a part-time job or taking on a side project or really practicing a new skill can really, really go a long way in increasing employability for the next time you're looking for a job. I'm just going to take a quick pause here. Alrighty. So what is, Waterloo Experience or We Accelerate? So again, this is an alternative for first work term students. It is an optional program that will help you develop in-demand skills through content provided by industry collaborators, and team-based project experiences, all while earning a flexible work term credit. So really it's a combination of skill development, team-based project work for an employer client, where you're developing skills that will be applied, practiced, and evaluated. And there's also an element of job search and employability skill development training as well. So some previous industry collaborators included, Microsoft, Manulife, Deloitte, D2L. So some really great employers that we've worked with for this program. So another thing I briefly wanted to touch on is co-op fundamentals for engineering or CFE. So as part of being a student in engineering, you also participate in CFE, which is just another tool designed to set you up for success before entering your first co-op term. So this was a course created in collaboration between the Faculty of Engineering and the Center for Career Development. So CFE, it's a series of mandatory online modules as part of one of your concept courses that's really designed to help you prepare for co-op. So it doesn't count for a lot of your overall grade in the concept course, but it does contain tons of important information to help you prepare for your first work term. So some of the topics within CFE include resumes, cover letters, job search tips, navigating Waterloo Works, and more. And really participating in CFE is just another way to help you learn about, what roles excite you, and to be able to kind of synthesize your experience before you go and apply for roles. Okay, and finally, I'll briefly touch on the Center for Career Development and just some of the different things we offer to support you in your co-op journey. So again, the CCD team, we're made up of multiple career advisors who come from different academic backgrounds and experiences. So this is awesome because students have a variety of people to choose from, who may be able to relate to them. We also do appointments to support students, again, with resumes, cover letters, work search, among a variety of other things as well. We also host various workshops and events on different career development topics, to really help enhance your career development journey here at Waterloo. So again, the Center for Career Development is here to support you every step of the way as you begin your co-op journey. Definitely recommend meeting with a career advisor early on for support. We have a tool called Career Hub, which is another great resource with tons of information to support you in your career development. One resource we definitely refer to often in the appointment space. And then finally, just to highlight a couple other supports available, you have a dedicated co-op advisor to support you while you're on a work term and through finding your next role. So they support you throughout your whole journey at Waterloo. We also have specialized international mental health and harassment co-op advisors. So student wellness is really, really a priority. So we have some dedicated support within our teams. We also have wellness counselors dedicated to co-op students, making it really easy to access that support. Other supports and resources available from departments across campus are the Writing Center, our Student Success Office. We have accessibility services, and academic advisors as well. So I would say really, if there's anything, I guess you take away from this presentation, I would just say that if you decide to come to Waterloo, we have so many people really, really dedicated to support you in your co-op journey and really ensure that you're set up for success. So thank you so much for listening to me talk. And I'm going to pass it back to Kelsey. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here.
Great. Thank you so much, Kira. All that great information. I know that was a lot of information. But I would now ask all my lovely engineering student ambassadors if we could turn your cameras and microphones on, so we can do a bit of a live Q&A before we wrap up. So if anybody has any questions, please continue to post them in the Q&A function here. Just make sure everyone is on here. All right. So as I had said before, we do have a whole bunch of people on the call here. So first, I would like to just kind of go through all my ambassadors and ask if they can introduce themselves. So your name, program year, and all of that jazz. And just kind of give a brief summary of your co-op experiences this far. Sophia, did you want to start?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Sophia. I'm in my 4th year of mechanical engineering, and I actually did my last exam today, so I technically am finished now. But I've done all 6 of my co-op terms, and they've all been in kind of a variety of fields. I worked in agriculture for my first one. I've worked in biomedical, more manufacturing jobs, and more recently in my later co-ops, I did more research-focused jobs to kind of help myself prepare for grad school. And I've also done 2 international co-ops. One of them was in California and one of them was in Germany. So I have experience with that if anybody has any questions. But yeah.
Sweet. I'll go down my list. Rachel, do you want to go next?
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Rachel. I just finished my 3B term in systems design engineering, so I'll be starting my fourth and final year this fall. So yeah, heading into my sixth co-op this term, which will be in product management, which my previous co-op was in as well. But my first two were project management, and my third and fourth were software development. So kind of all over the map there. But yeah, lots of work in the tech space.
Sweet. Who's next? Arlene?
Hi guys, my name's Harleen. I just finished my 3A term of biomedical engineering. I'm going into my fourth co-op now. One was in a kind of medical device startup. They've all been in software, and then the last two were in research, and the one I'm doing currently will be research as well. And I also did one co-op in the US, and I've been kind of around Canada, New Brunswick, and Vancouver. So yeah, if any questions regarding that, I'd be happy to share.
Great. Dania?
Hi, I'm Rodana. I'm an architectural engineering student at Waterloo. I'm also going into my third year. I was scrambling to get back from co-op. So I'm on my fourth co-op, and I'm working as a structural engineering intern. My co-op started in healthcare engineering, actually. I was doing project coordination. So my second one, I like to say that I was in scrubs 50% of the time, and then the other 50% I was in a hard hat. So it was a very enriching experience, but I've gone to more technical jobs now. So I've been doing sustainability and structural engineering, hoping to continue that for my fifth and sixth co-op. So feel free to ask me anything about civil engineering, architectural engineering, and all the site stuff that you get to see.
And Assad.
Hi, my name is Assad. I just finished my 2A term. I'm currently doing my third co-op term. Right now, I'm with a general contractor working as a field engineer or assistant site super. My first one was at the University of Guelph as an architecture design intern, and then the second one was at the City of Burlington as another field engineer.
Sweet. All right. Thank you, everyone, for the little introductions there. So you can see some questions coming in here. So I know there's a lot of questions about streams. So just reminding everyone there is a stream 4 or stream 8, and that is just depending on when you start your co-op terms. So certain programs are certain streams. Some programs have options. Sophia, did you want to talk about, I know for mechanical, you can do stream 4 or stream 8, what your thought process was with that, or anything you kind of have to add for the streams?
Yeah, so I did stream 8. I did request stream 8 because I wanted to get a little bit more settled into university before I started my first co-op. Although there are definitely pros and cons to both. I don't think there's a clear advantage of one over the other. For stream 8, again, you are getting more like educational experience before you start your first co-op, so that's more to talk about on your resume. But also stream 4, it could be less competitive a little bit because you're finding a job in the winter term as opposed to the summer term. But it is mostly personal preference. Another good thing about stream 4 is that you'll start making money right away that can help pay for your next term if that's something that's important to you. So
Great. Let's see. Harleen, did you want to talk about what it's been like in stream 8?
Yeah, for sure. So via me, because we're a smaller cohort, pretty much all of us are in stream 8 together. And I really like the opportunity because the first 4 months, I feel like I was able to kind of more focus on just settling into university. And, it's a big transition. So to have the time to kind of focus on that was good. And then I kind of took my first winter break to get my resume together, get together my cover letter, start kind of looking for jobs and honestly what I was interested in the job market to begin with. So to have that time to really prepare myself to like hit the ground running in January for my first ever co-op search was definitely helpful. So yeah, I thought it was a good experience of having the time to kind of work on both in StreamMate.
Great. Let's see. Let's hear from the Stream 4. Assad, do you want to talk about how first year was for you being a Stream 4 student?
Yeah. First year was honestly really fast. It seems like you start school 1 week and then the next week you're jumping into co-op, but it's really good. I mean, it's good because you get that break, especially in first year. I think it's good to be in Stream 4. My personal preference, I don't know, I haven't tried out StreamMate, but um, just having the work term right after the first school term, it really helps you like get a good break before you get back right into it because first year is pretty intense and can go pretty quickly.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's see what other questions are in here. For international co-ops, we're just kind of even out of Canada either, or just out of Waterloo. I know Sophia has done some international co-ops. If you just want to briefly kind of talk about that, what you did, how things kind of worked, you had to move, you had to find housing, kind of all of the things.
Yeah. So I found both of my international jobs through the Waterloo Works job board. There is a lot of assistance from the school to understand how to get visas, but yeah, like to get a working visa, and they give you some information about moving abroad, but it is ultimately dependent on the company from what supports you receive. Some companies do offer housing or help you find housing. I didn't have that experience, so I was just looking for housing on my own. But my flights were paid for my first job. Again, it's just based on the company, but there's also a scholarship you can apply to through the school for international work terms that you just write an application for, and the school can give you some money to help offset the cost of working internationally, especially overseas. Minimum wage is a lot less, so you might not be making a ton of money, even if it is a good experience, but yeah.
Anyone else have any international co-ops or even USA co-ops? Just a couple questions on that of just working abroad. Again, kind of Sophia mentioned, depends on your job, kind of if certain things are paid for or not. Any other ambassadors want to talk about their experience kind of leaving Waterloo for a co-op position?
I guess I can just mention there is some good like resources on Waterloo is like I know they have like a checklist of documents that you should have with you if you're going abroad or to the US, but then also just kind of doing some research yourself on your visa requirements, because depending on like what visa you're on, there might be some specific documentation that you should have with you. So like definitely the Waterloo resources are a good starting point, and then from there you can kind of do more specific research on your specific living situations. Yeah, doing a bit of both was helpful for me.
Okay. Thanks. All right, let's see here. So most students are always might be stressed out that there's no semesters off kind of at Waterloo. You're always either working or in school. So I know the biggest question is kind of how do you balance life with school? Rodania, do you want to chat about your kind of experience and how you kind of balance work-life balance?
Honestly, I feel like being a Waterloo student, you're always on the run. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like you can do so much while also pursuing your degree, and co-op gets you, the funding that you need to kind of have a little bit more fun. So a lot of people, they like to go to markets during the spring, where they have their co-ops. You might be saying, oh my gosh, I'm going to be working during the summer and everyone's traveling, but there's the perk where you get to make some money, where you get to go out with friends every weekend. There's like so much in going around in terms of cities, and a lot of people, they tend to do this when they're finishing up their co-ops. They take like 2 weeks. They say they're going to end their co-op a little earlier so that they can travel a bit. But you can definitely do a lot of things while still working. Like I'm part of a varsity team, and my co-op, they're very lenient with if you have tournaments. I have like my backpack, my like squash backpack with me to work every day. So you can definitely do so much while also making that good money that you can use afterwards.
Cool. Any other ambassadors want to chime in on that? Thanks for being how they manage engineering and also life.
I mean, I can add, your co-op terms are kind of your term off. I like to think if I was home for the summer, if I had the summer off, I would probably be working anyways, and I would probably rather be working an engineering job than working a minimum wage, like restaurant job again. So I don't know, that's how I think of it. And you are, since it's like a cohort program, you're with the same people every term for the most part. So you do become really close with your class and make a lot of friends within that cohort that you can keep coming back to. You're all on the same schedule, so that's nice.
All right, let's see here. What are some things that you guys did in grade 12 or before you got to Waterloo to kind of get yourself ready for Waterloo? Or is there any tips or tricks or anything you would kind of give someone in grade 12 now in your shoes? Who have we heard from? Assad, did you want to share your kind of grade 12 experience before getting to Waterloo?
Yeah. So throughout high school, I didn't really have a job. I was busy with sports, and obviously school. What I did do though was co-op in high school, and that was at the University of Guelph. So I just maintained that connection. Um, and yeah, that like I did a external job for my first one, which you arrange your own job form or whatever. And that's how I got my first one. But other tips I'd say, um, like if you're not working in summer or if you don't have experience, I'd be thinking that like getting good like clubs or extracurriculars is really important to have on your resume just for some experience, like leadership experience, show your other type of skills. And obviously just networking, like if your parents know anyone or if your friend knows anyone, like that's huge because that first one, like was mentioned before, it's pretty important. Get your foot in the door and just makes everything really easy after.
Great, thanks. Rachel, did you want to share your grade 12 kind of experience or anything you did or wish you did before coming to Waterloo?
Yeah. I mean, I would say don't like kill yourself. This is like your last summer of freedom, so enjoy it. Not that like summers of work terms aren't free, but it's like, yeah, enjoy like kind of life as it is before you start university. But I think having like I had my resume kind of in a good place before starting, and that took a lot of stress off, especially being in stream four. You're applying to jobs super quickly while also kind of figuring out classes. So it's nice to kind of have that done. And I know in systems, you kind of can get paired with a mentor a couple years ahead in the same program who like can help you sort of guide you through that process. So like relying on connections with upper years who like have been there and done that was super helpful for me. Um, I would also say most, depending on the type of engineering, but most of them you'll usually take at least one sort of intro coding course. And so it can be a little pretty helpful if you're at least a little bit familiar with software. There's no expectation going into it other than software engineering or that kind of thing. But like for systems, there's no expectation that you know how to code, but maybe even just like doing some intro to Python or C++ courses online would help a lot and makes assignments a lot less stressful and overwhelming. But also a lot of peers in your class will have some experience and be willing to help as well.
Awesome. Dana, did you want to share?
So when I was in high school, I didn't do anything engineering based, like anything at all. I didn't even think I was going to go into engineering, so kind of makes sense. But I did a lot of public speaking, so I was very into things like Model UN and TED Ed, debate club. Honestly, I just did anything that I thought was interesting. And I feel like that helped a lot during the interview process and just the co-op process in general. Like, this summer I'm doing like a half marathon, and I talked about that during my interview. And they're like, "Why are you doing it?" And I was like, "I thought it was interesting." And I think a lot of the times, employers, they look for students that are more so just they're there to be interesting and fun, and they know that you don't know as much as like you think you should know by the time you're probably in third year and fourth year, but they have that understanding and they want to teach you. So I would say just don't pursue extracurriculars or things to put on your resume just because it looks good. Pursue it because you're genuinely like passionate about it and you can imagine yourself in an interview situation being like, oh my gosh, this is like such a cool experience that I had. Rather than, oh, I did this design team because I really want to have a design team on my resume kind of thing.
Sweet. Thank you. Sorry, I muted myself again. Does anyone else want to share their experience, or I can jump to the next question? All right, let's see. So someone's asking, how many positions do students typically apply to for their first co-op work term? Do you guys remember how many co-op jobs you applied to in your first term? Assad, maybe you remember because it was a little sooner for you.
I can't speak for my first two co-op work terms on Waterloo Works at least because I arranged them both externally. But this last one, I think I applied to 34 and got interviews for 7. So it's not that bad. Honestly, after a certain point, I was just applying for the sake of trying to beat my friend and get the interview instead. But like a tip would be like, make sure you're not using like ChatGPT for your cover letters. I mean, a lot of employers do like AI screening for cover letters, even resumes as well. I know at the City of Burlington and University of Guelph, when they were doing their co-op hiring at the end of my term, they would get me to put the next students' resumes and cover letters in this AI detector. And immediately, if it flagged it, then they just tell me to trash the applicant. So like, yeah, like make sure you put time into the cover letters, into your resumes, because I mean, you can see when something's AI generated versus like actual human thought into it, it looks a lot better as well.
Sweet. Good to know. Speaking of you mentioning that you did kind of the arrange your own job, you want to just talk about your experience going through that? So just for everyone, Waterloo Works is our kind of main hub with everything, but you can also kind of arrange your own position. Do you just want to talk about that and how that kind of went? Was hard, easy, pros, cons?
Yeah, so for my first one, as I said, it was kind of like the connection I built throughout my high school co-op. So that was super easy. I like went back to the University of Guelph's engineering department, had a box of donuts, a few coffees, said, "Hey, I need a co-op term for winter." They said, "Sweet, we'll bring you along." My City of Burlington one, that one was kind of different. So I don't know why I had this negative stigma around Waterloo Works because I don't know, like learning anything new for me is I just don't like it. So I was old fashioned in the sense of looking for my second co-op. I did a lot of cold calling and it was not effective. If I applied to 34-ish jobs on Waterloo Works, I probably cold called over 100 places and heard back from 2. And luckily, the one picked me. But Waterloo Works is definitely a lot easier. And like they do all the work for you. Like I had to provide all the employer details, um, submit a few forms, get like all of those processes approved. Whereas Waterloo Works, it's only approved employers already. So it makes it a lot easier, and like you won't get ghosted. Like you'll get a response. I called a bunch of places, and man, the amount of times I had to read over the same thing. Hi, I'm a first year architectural engineering student looking for a co-op, and I wouldn't get any call back. It's kind of disheartening and unmotivating. But obviously, if you don't want to use Waterloo Works, there's always other ways. I mean, cold calling is probably not the best, but it still works.
Sounds great. Thank you. Let's see. Some research questions. So Sophia and Harleen, I know you guys have both done kind of research positions for co-op. Do you just want to kind of chat about what you did, kind of everything about it? Who wants to start first? Either one of you.
Yeah, I can start. I also arranged my own job for my last work term. I was working with a professor at the university, because I am applying to grad school right now. I want to do my master's starting in September. So I had a corporate research job with the government. I worked in Ottawa. And I really enjoyed that. So I wanted to keep doing research. I had done aspects of research in my other jobs, but I wanted to get a primarily research job, and I really enjoyed it. But it was more of a corporate setting, so I wanted to try to do research in an academic environment to see if I would enjoy going to grad school. So I mostly just emailed professors at the university. I was very picky for my last co-op term because I knew exactly what I wanted, and I felt like I could go all in on it because it was my last one. But I ended up emailing a lot of professors at the school and just asking if they were taking co-op students. A lot of professors do hire co-op students. It's usually not that high paying, but it is beneficial to get the experience, and they are looking usually for more upper year students, but I guess it depends on the lab group. So that's how I got my last job. It was a newer professor who decided to take me on as a co-op student. It also depends on if they have funding. It's not necessarily if you're the best match. But yeah.
Great. What exactly did you do for your during your co-op? Some people were saying like, what's a typical kind
Yeah.
of research position?
I worked, both of them were in air pollution. So I did a lot of like modeling of air pollution. When I worked for the government, it was like oil and gas industry air pollution. And then my last co-op was more wildfires. So I did a lot of report writing. I got to do a personal kind of design project and like be able to present that and write a report on it and kind of follow it from like the design and the testing. So that was really, I enjoyed that a lot. Um, yeah, it's a lot of report writing, a lot of testing, working in the lab, which I enjoy.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks. Harleen, did you want to talk about your research position?
Yeah, for sure. So I did one research position for my last co-op, and that was in more of a university setting. And then my upcoming co-op is going to be again research, but it's the lab is like based at UBC, but it's going to be in a hospital. So I feel like it'll be a little bit of a different environment. So and then also like with Sophia's like corporate research job, like I feel like there's many different avenues that can still be like research jobs, but just in different environments, which is I think is pretty cool. My last co-op was in a computational biology lab, so I was working more with bioinformatics and using data science to kind of extract findings from like DNA research that was being done by like the wet bench side of the lab, which is pretty cool. Totally new to me, so very big learning curve, but I thought it was pretty interesting. And then my upcoming co-op is going to be more with like machine learning and using that to basically identify new areas of like cancer research. So again, pretty contrasting jobs. I feel like a typical day, in my experience, research is pretty independent versus like a corporate job. in my experience, it's been kind of like, this is a project that we envision you working on. Here is the tools. Here's like the main project goals. And then from there, you kind of like start working on the project, and then the project can like shift or things can be added as you go along. But it's just kind of like up to you to determine your pace of working and like how you actually get the project done. So I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, typical day is just like come in, work on my project. If I need to like talk to any PhD students or upper years in the lab who can help me, I usually do that. Yeah, check in with my supervisor every once in a while. And yeah.
Awesome. Thanks. All right. We are coming close to the end here. Gone through a majority of these questions. I see there's a couple answers being typed there for you. But with the time, I will just kind of do a round of any final thoughts that anybody has, any of my ambassadors. Like one final thought that you have or that you want to let all of these lovely students know. Kira, did you want to start giving your kind of final thoughts before we wrap up?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for everyone tuning in and for these co-op students and sharing their experience. I know that's so valuable. I guess it looks like someone might be answering one of the questions that I was going to maybe answer. When should co-op students start preparing for their co-op applications? I was going to just touch on that briefly. Should we start applying before the start of our co-op term? I would just say there's no obligation to start applying for jobs before your first recruiting term. Similar to what was mentioned earlier, just getting your resume ready and building up some of that experience is great. And then I would just say, if I could emphasize one thing, it would be access the support from Waterloo early and often. Like you have a co-op advisor who's there to answer any of your co-op questions. Really at any time, you can message them, you can set up meetings with them. And like I said, you have basically unlimited access to one-on-one appointments with a career advisor. So I would say definitely get that resume reviewed before you start applying for jobs. Connect about a mock interview. All of those supports will help you get that first co-op job. So just know, yeah, there's lots of people that just want to see you succeed and are here to help you.
Okay, thanks. Asad, you want to give your any words of wisdom, final thoughts?
Yeah, I'll answer the one question. Are there any negative aspects of the co-op experiences? Anything that the first year student should be prepared to face? Honestly, I think the negative aspect about the co-op experience is when it comes to close. Me personally, I love the co-op experience. I mean, I just finished my finals on Thursday and I started work this week, Tuesday. Um, I love it. Like, I love working. I love being co-op. I couldn't wait to start, so I started early. Um, Another aspect is I think someone was asking if you can take courses during your co-op term. I have, and I'm taking 2 courses next semester. So you can take 1 course um, per co-op term. If you want to take a second course, you have to receive permission from your employer. So I did that. I received permission. So when the spring term officially starts, I will be taking my second co-op course. And honestly, it's not even like courses that are required or mandatory. It's just courses that interest me. So I'm doing environmental sustainability assessment 2, the second part of the 1 course I did. And it's just whatever really interests you. I mean, you could even like get rid of a few of your electives if you wanted to earlier during your co-op term. I wouldn't recommend it honestly, because it is kind of your break. But if you want to like do something that does interest you, like courses wise, I'd recommend it. And honestly, co-op is the best part. And the negative experience of it is when it just has to finish.
Right, thank you. Rodania, do you want to have any final thoughts as we wrap up?
I would say as like a final thought, a lot of people they have this assumption that engineering, if you're in engineering, you're like so smart and you're always studying. But I would say as a third year, so I feel like I have some wisdom. I would say that engineering, it's more so a thing of perseverance. Whenever you're going through exams, when you're like stuck in DC, that's the library where a lot of people go to like lock in. When you're stuck there, you're just thinking to yourself that this too it will pass and you'll be there and you'll be so close to getting your degree and your engineering ring. And you'll think fondly of even the work term report that you had to write, scrambling to get it done. Um, but just enjoy the experience while you're at it. I remember in first year, I applied. I think someone was asking how many jobs did you apply to? I vividly remember this because I applied to more than 200 jobs to get my first job. And then recently, I only applied to 10, and then I got back to the same company that I worked at. And I would say that it's sort of the dream company that I wanted to work at. It's called Blackwell. It's like a structural engineering company. And I never dreamed that I'd be able to work somewhere like that. But thinking back to that experience of having to apply to so many jobs, you'll find yourself in a position like that in first year, maybe even second year, but it'll pass and you'll be doing greater things, things that you never imagined that you'd be able to do.
Thanks. Harleen, final thoughts.
Yeah, I guess just I think it's like natural to be overwhelmed by the whole co-op and school process. I mean, it's understandable, like you're entering the workforce, the professional workforce for probably the first time, and there's a lot of things to consider, but I would just say just like know that you have resources, like professional resources through the school, online, and then also just like everyone else in your class is going through the same thing. So don't be afraid to like talk to your friends, see what avenues they're using. I like all of my cold calling and LinkedIn skills I've gotten from my friends. Like I take no credit for that. So just yeah, reach out to people, like see what people are doing. I don't think like you can get through any of this really without your peers. So yeah, don't be afraid to use the tools because like they're there for you, but you got this.
Yes. Rachel, final thoughts.
Yeah, I would just say two quick things. Everything else someone said was great. There are like on Waterloo Works, there are junior positions. So don't be worried that you're competing with someone looking for their final co-op for like the same job. Like there are some employers that are looking for like senior co-ops and are willing to pay them more. But also part of being a first year like junior co-op is companies can pay you less because you have less experience. But the nice part is like they know that and they're not looking for this resume full of experience. So there's a lot less pressure there to have like all of the technical skills that a fourth year would have. Also, if there's a job you're really excited about and you don't have the experience they list, apply for it anyway. I have gotten like several interviews I never would have expected to, but just like went for it. Write a really strong cover letter and tell them that you're really excited about it because companies so much more prefer your willingness to learn and passion for an area than having a certain technical skill or knowing a certain coding language and having that on your resume.
Neat. All right, Sophia, your last one. Final thoughts.
Yeah, I would say because the co-op structure is at Waterloo so unique, where you have the opportunity to do so many different jobs, like definitely take the opportunity to try out different things you're interested in. If you think there's an industry you might like to work in, try it out. If you hate it, you're only there for 4 months. So, and then you know you don't want to spend any more time on that. If that's the most valuable thing you learn from your co-op job, that's still a valuable skill to gain. I also would say don't necessarily expect your first job to be your dream job, that you kind of need the experience working. I worked on a farm for my first job, not engineering related at all. I did really enjoy it, but and I did gain some skills from that, but that isn't where I see myself working for the rest of my life. The more prestigious companies do tend to hire like upper year students, so don't worry, there's lots of chance to do some more exciting things later in your degree.
Awesome. All right. That is the end here. Thank you so much to all of my ambassadors. Thank you so much, Kira, for all the information. I hope everybody we answered all the questions. We got through them all. But if you do have any other questions, please feel free to reach out. You can also reach out to current engineering students like my lovely ambassadors on the call. If you go to our Ask a Warrior page on our website, we'll link you to our Unibuddy page where you can chat with current engineering students. They are a little busy just finishing up exams and work terms, but they will be on there to answer any questions. So please, if you do have any questions after this, please feel free to reach out. So with that, I will wrap up and say thank you again, everyone, for my volunteers and everyone for attending. I hope to see all of you here in the fall, and I hope you have a great night.